What if I told you the scariest monsters in Ryan Coogler's Sinners aren't the vampires? It's the terror of losing yourself, your culture, and your race without even knowing it. I spent a lot of time dissecting this film, and I normally like to script my videos out, but this film hit me so hard, I'm just gonna try to go off the cuff from my feelings and come from my heart with this one. So let's dive right in. I'm trying to figure out why this film hit me so hard, and I think it comes down to identity. I think that seeing how a person who didn't go through the things that he filmed, but was able to still harness all the generational pain and trauma and joy and love in the film hit me hard, because that's something that I've been wanting to do in film all my life. So to see somebody actually be able to do that and to find an identity within that film is something that I think many filmmakers aspire to do. And the really cool part about this is that he did it by creating what seemingly looks like a horror film. It comes across as a horror film, but it's saying so much about society, about music, about culture, race, about heritage, all those things wrapped into one. It just made me think, how can one person do that in one film and give you all those feelings? I was lucky enough to watch it in a full theater, and you could feel that energy coming off of everyone as we were watching that. And there was all kinds of, it was a really diverse crowd, all kinds of races and ethnicities there. And I thought that was such a beautiful moment. So one of the things that hit me is the chase for instant gratification or gratification. It's something that the twin brothers have a lot of trouble with in the film, and I found myself feeling the same way a lot of the times when I was chasing things for gratification or for happiness or for some sort of joy. If I only got this, if I could only get this, my life would be so much better. And most of the time it wasn't. That wasn't the case. It would take me a really long time to figure out that what I was actually chasing, when I would get it, I would either be miserable in it or I wouldn't be able to enjoy it. There wouldn't, not all the time. There was definitely moments that I would enjoy it, but it became this idea of I was just chasing something this constantly. And so to see these brothers having to do the things they do to open their juke joint, and everything was in their way to try to chase this quote unquote American dream that was going to be really difficult for them to capture in the first place. So I found a lot of myself in that, in this idea of the traps that I fall into all the time when it comes to gratification. I think that this film is about legacy. It's very interesting that Coogler filmed it in IMAX for the most part. I think the bigger part of the film was filmed in IMAX. It's also in a lot of different aspect ratios. He did a really cool video of explaining all the aspect ratios. It was awesome. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. But the legacy of not only of African Americans, the legacy of veterans, the legacy of musicians, and then to do that technically by shooting in IMAX. He said that Ryan said that Christopher Nolan is one of the people that he really looks up to, and this idea that we are losing film, we are losing this form of creating content that has been around for ages is now being lost to digital. And so when you see someone like Ryan taking that leap, working with IMAX and doing the things that he did to keep that legacy alive, I think it adds that extra layer when you're watching a film, that you feel the legacy that's coming from it. You feel like this film is going to have impact and be a classic. My son is going to watch this film and see it and have an emotional response, probably one of the same emotional responses that I'm going to have years from now. And hopefully they'll re-release it in a theater and we'll be able to watch it together, and that would be amazing, right? So some truths that came out of that is I got really upset. I got really mad that a Latino hasn't been able to make a film like this. And I started sort of dissecting in my mind why haven't we been able to make a film of this magnitude, that when our culture is so rich, our heritage, the pain, the sorrow, the redemption, all of that. It's all there, but there's something that's missing when it comes to being able to create a film of this magnitude. And I really hope that this film inspires young filmmakers, young Latino filmmakers, to go out and tell these stories, right? These stories that are seemingly these, a B sort of horror film, but it's actually so much more than that, right? And the trick of getting people into the theater to think that you're going to watch a film about vampires, and seeing that film, that scene, spoilers ahead, sorry, that scene in the juke joint where they were mixing in all the music from different generations of the past to the present to the future. I think that's something that could be done for Latino heritage as well. And I hope that does happen. I think the shift that needs to happen within us for that to take place is recognizing that it's okay to want more, and it's okay to work really hard to want more, right? And to not lose sight of what's really important. In the film, one of the twins loses sight of what becomes important, and it becomes about money and success, and they end up having to fight each other over that in the end. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I came away from, is that shift that needs to happen for, like I said, for Latinos to be able to make something special like this film was. So fear that comes with filmmaking, fear that comes with identity, fear that comes with life. I felt all of that watching this. There's this fear that comes with, what if I'm never able to make something as amazing as what Ryan did, right? What legacy am I leaving? And how do I justify that? What do I need to do with that? I'm really fortunate. I get to talk about film and TV for what I do right now. And that's something that brings joy to my heart. But there is always this fear. Again, I think it goes back to chasing things, this fear of, I want something bigger, and how do I do that? So the core message that came out of all of this was, don't lose yourself. I grew up first generation American, so I never really knew how I identified. Was I American? Was I Mexican? Was I Mexican American? And in all of that, I feel like I lost myself for a really long time. So I think that's another reason that this film hit me, because, like Sammy, he was trying to figure out if he was going to be a preacher or if he was going to be a musician. And he was trying to do this in a way where he had to learn to do that bluntly. It became this really epic adventure that he had to go on to learn who he really was going to be. And in the end, he ended up losing himself a bit in all of it. But yeah, it was a beautiful scene at the end when he's talking to the vampires. So doing what you love, I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to Ryan and what he's doing with film. I think seeing where he went from Fruitvale Station to where he is now, I'm just south of where he came up in his career, and I think this is a testament to something so technically beautiful and so emotionally impactful that I think it's probably one of the best films that I've seen in decades at this point. It took me a long time to get into the theater to be able to watch it, but I'm glad I did. So just think about this. I would think about, what can you do today to achieve the dreams that you're trying to get, or to give out the messages that you're trying to put out? How are you trying to bring energy into the world? And what are you doing to bring that energy besides just sort of thinking about it? What actions can you take? How can you help others that are in that path too, to be able to follow their dreams as well? So again, this is an off-the-cuff video. I hope you liked it. Hit like, subscribe if you want to see other film breakdowns, and I hope to see you guys soon.